days or one day. So it's going to take a process. What is it you're requiring for? Is it a case of get the process started or what?
Well, just as the
If
president
you see a
actually
movement
put it.
in terms of process,
yes.
would you be able to?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing started over 10 years ago. Since 2001 that we signed an agreement with government. And we thought that
2001.
2001, and we also realized that most of the elements of that agreement wasn't really implemented. In 2005, again, we renegotiated that agreement to give government a chance, yet they reneged. Now, in 2009, we did the same again. Because we know government is not sincere, we actually reintroduced an element there to renegotiate that agreement again in 2012. Why? Because we're not confident that government is going to implement. And so we believe that if the federal government is serious, they are to drive the process. It should have been an executive bill. Just like you said, there was a sister union when the issue of 70 years retirement age. Within 2 weeks, government fast-tracked it, and it went through the two chambers of the National Assembly. So why the Polytechnics? Why?
Isn't it presumptuous to expect that the federal government of Nigeria that is unable to drive the PIB, that is unable to force the hands of the National Assembly to pass the budget as quickly as it wants because it affects all Nigerians, you're now expecting this same government to drive the National Assembly to force their hands into passing a law, legislation on polytechnics so that you can go back to work.
No, I don't agree with you. I think it's about just interest. There is a focus on a particular set of education as against the other. And that's where we are, really. If they are interested in technical education, all these things will have been over.
But it is not the executive arm alone.
Yeah,
it is
but,
the entire...
But they are to drive the process. They are to drive the process.
Okay, so now what is the way forward?
Yeah, actually, the way forward has been there. We've always been willing, really. And I want to actually announce to Nigerians that instead of actually trying to bring, because when we held our last meeting, actually we had taken a lot of things into consideration. People mistake it to say we want to see the president, we want the vice president. No. There are levels of governance, delegation of authority. And we believe that these problems could be solved at levels much lower, than the presidency, as a matter of fact. The president doesn't have to wade into every problem, with unions. But be that as it may, we had almost come to the point of reaching an agreement to bring this issue to a resolution. But what does the minister do? He throws in spanner in the works now, and he's traveled to Netherlands. He's just given a directive that they should implement this no work, no rule. 9 months into a strike that we're about to resolve, and he's complicating issues again. Now he has refused to shift his ground. We pleaded with him. We said, okay, set up a technical working committee headed by the PAMSEC Minister of Education. Let's begin discussion on these issues, not resolutions, not final actualization. Let's start a process of discussion. He refused it, shut it out completely, entirely. So it's not...
Are you by any stretch of imagination emphasizing that the Minister of Education is part of your problem?
Well, I am really, really tempted to think that some other person with a different disposition perhaps would have handled it quite differently.
Okay, that's being very politically correct, but that's good. Now, let me ask you then, Usman, when you look at what we're saying is the issue or are the issues, if we decongest it and say if we can move forward with this one, then you will go back to work. Because the children, the young people of Nigeria who are attending polytechnics across the nation, they're sick and tired. We watch what they write on Twitter on a daily basis. They're sick and tired of this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate really, but if you ask some of them, they will tell you they regretted going through the polytechnic system. Most of the graduates today. Looking at what is happening, if I have a child today, even though I'm a lecturer in the Polytechnic, I wouldn't want the same person to go through Polytechnic system.
But I have no regrets. I
Because-
went through a Polytechnic system.
Because if you look at the discrimination in the labor market, both government, both public and private, is something else. But I think two things simply: let them complete the 4 items, they agree, ab initio, and then 2, set up a technical committee to work out the way out, and then we can start working on those, issues. Simple.
Okay.
Not encouraging at all what you have just said.
Definitely not. So,
No, what is not encouraging actually? There are 4 issues, they
Yes.
chose. Now, let's look at those issues. Now, the white paper that we're talking, government set up a visitation panel, to federal polytechnics. And this took place about 18 months ago. Now, what is the purpose of a visitation? It's to help government administer these institutions properly and better. Now, you've had this visitation. The white paper has been ready for the past 9 months. Now, tell me, what is difficult in releasing and accenting to a white paper being put into implementation in the schools? And they have just appointed councils. What are councils going to work on? Is it not white paper? Because this is to make the thing better. Now, look at the issue of the Contis 15 migration. There is an approval for implementation. But the thing is, implement is a problem again. It's just paperwork.
and the paperwork is not getting
It's
done.
not getting done.
Okay, well, we will have to wrap up now. On that note, I want to say thank you very much to our panelists on this conversation, and I'll start with the National President Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, Mr. Chibuzo Azomuga. Thank you very much for coming, and also Usman Nda-Umar, the Secretary General of ASUP. Thanks very much. We are hoping that there will be a shift that means that there is a movement towards resolving this issue because, like I said earlier, young people in Nigeria are tired. They're sick and tired of this. They want to get back to school so that they can get their lives on the road to completing education so that they can get into the workplace. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at another very interesting conversation, Face of Change in Delta.